player. My character is named Sparkle McMandix of Sexy Elf Town. DM. I know, bud. We've all been there. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the one and only Bear Bar Tales. It is I, the one bear brave enough to say, you know what? No, I'm not giving you any more of my spicy takes. People apparently don't like them. Psych, I'm the one bear brave enough to still say psych. Mainly because the terms cap/no cap still confuse me. And I guess I'm old enough to be anchored by weird new things. Because I'm the Bear Bard. Speaking of spicy, today's video is a little more spicy than you may be used to on this channel. I tend to stick with more Midwest spicy stories, but ones that we can derive lessons from. But sometimes, just like a teenager choosing out a new CD, you look for something with a content warning on it. Don't worry, we can still get something out of it besides some shock value. Before we get started, however, if you like this channel and you want to hear more from the Bear Bard, make sure to give this channel a sub. Every sub I get gets me one step closer to accepting Gen Z lingo. Though at the moment, that may still feel like a long off dream. Let's see what happens at 10K. Seriously, bussin'? I will say I do wholeheartedly accept yeet. If you want to help support the channel further, remember you can look into my Ko-Fi, which I recently was disappointed to learn it's actually pronounced Ko-Fi, but as I hate that, I will continue to call it Ko-Fi, where you can sign up for a membership, a one-time tip, pick up a sticker, or even commission me for a few lines. Seriously, this sticker is so cool. With all that out of the way, let's get to today's story titled 16 Tons and What Do You Get? Which absolutely sounds like a song title. This is a story about a very large man. It's not actually about his weight, so much as it is about how, despite everything that happened, he made it about his weight when he got kicked from my game. But hey, it made for a title at least. The group, no real names obviously. Me, the lovable DM. My ex, Halfling Ranger. Rumi, Human Sorcerer Wild Mage. The bride, one half of a couple, half-elf bard. The groom, other half-elf rogue. Shigal, Wood Elf Warlock. Oscar, half-orc blood hunter. This is a story that took place back when Critical Role was wrapping up its first campaign. I hadn't played Dungeons & Dragons in years, but came across their videos and it got me interested in playing again. I started reading up on 5th edition and picked up the original Tal'Dorei campaign setting guide. I wanted to run a game on that world that took place some number of years after the show's first campaign. I advertised for players in a local Facebook group with info on the rules, setting, and campaign premise. I have 6 players in a couple of hours. Now, I live in a mobile home that I own. At the time, I have a roommate renting my spare room who is joining in. He's a little bit of a germaphobe. I also have a lovable cat named Delphi. This is important for later. I've set up a gaming room. It's a bit cramped, but large enough to seat all of us around a table big enough for my maps and minis. We have a group chat where we take care of all the usual Session 0 things and get all the characters' backstories set up. Everyone is excited for the game. Oscar misses Session 1 due to work. The game goes great. The party is throwing their weight together in an attempt to take up adventuring, as many groups have tried, and mostly failed, to do so in the wake of the legendary Vox Machina. They take up a job to investigate some illegal drug trading going on. After RP and checking up on leads, they head into the swamp to check out a proposed hideout. They fend off some giant frogs on the way there, nothing too harrowing. Week 2, Oscar arrives. He comes early as requested so I can catch him up. What pulls up to my house is an unmarked white van. It is full of trash, to the tops of the windows. The dashboard is covered. There's a cube of space carved out for the driver of this vehicle. It's so packed in that when he exits, none of it even budges, despite my belief it would tumble out all into my yard for sure. The man who steps out stands about 6 feet tall and is easily over 500 pounds. I immediately become worried. You see, my house, like many mobile homes, is narrowly designed. Doorways and hallways are skinny. It doesn't seem to bother him though. He maneuvers sideways through my door in the main hall, so it works out. This is not the reason why he was removed. The next problem became readily apparent. I can smell him. It is like rotten food or straight up fresh dog shit, and it is powerful. It is the middle of summer and my house gets warm. I have fans set up in the game room because of this. However, they also blow the smell around as well. This is not why he was removed. He cannot fit in my chairs comfortably. So he declares he will simply sit on the floor if he starts to hurt too much, which is fine, whatever works. After the session, the smell of that chair was so bad we had to wash them several times and use multiple kinds of deodorizers. Rumi was losing his mind over how disgusting it was. He could smell it in his room from the game room even after Oscar left. This is not why he was removed. The other players arrive. I can tell they all smell it and they all know why it smells. I'd adjusted the fans while he was in the restroom to blow it in such a way that he would be downwind. Shaigal seems especially uncomfortable with this session, despite being my best RPer at the table. The party joins up with Oscar on the road, having been sent by the Groom's Thieves Guild contacts as backup when they learned just who he was going after. Oscar immediately begins to be incredibly rude and disrespectful to the others. Oscar, guess you're not enough for this. Looks like pussies, though some of you are not bad to look at. This is directed at our women players. They are nonplussed. Bride, and what do we need you for? Groom, well, I did ask for backup, I guess. So his character is an asshole. Not all characters are good people. I've played many assholes myself. It's fun to have them get their comeuppance eventually too. The party goes along with it, all the while grimacing a bit at the repeated off-color jokes he was making. Eventually, they arrive at the hideout, taking down the patrol silently. They attempt to sneak up on the cabin. Oscar crit fails. I have players moving on the map to show how they are creeping up. He was trying to do so right along the front lawn, just creeping through the grass. All of the enemies alert, raising the alarm to their boss, making the trades inside. Drug dealers. What the hell are you doing? Hold it right there. Rumi, we're all gonna die. Rumi, we're all gonna die. Shaigal, are the rest of us still hidden? Oscar. Come on, guys, he cries, alerting the enemies that there are more of them. Let's fuck them. Apparently, he meant that literally, as you will see. Initiative is rolled. The party enters into a fight of their lives. This was meant to be 2 or 3 smaller encounters that have bled together. The party lacks a dedicated healer, so if things go south... Delphi comes into the room. Now, I have a rule about my cat. You do not play rough with her. Do not encourage her to bite or claw. I've had experience with cats who were taught playtime was to be aggressive and that upset people by biting or scratching them hard. I make the same request of Oscar when Delphi jumps onto his lap. He proceeds to roughly mash her down to the floor, ruffling her fur like a dog and teasing her after rolling her onto her back. She's squalling that she does not like this, and he tries to make her play bite his hand. Me, yo, leave my cat alone. Oscar, gee, sorry, I was just playing. Me, I already told you, we don't play with her like that. That is not the reason why he was removed, though it should have been. Oscar eats a critical from the drug dealer's boss that should have killed him, but he stays alive with the half-orc resilience ability. I later learned that this ability doesn't trigger if the attack was enough to kill someone outright, and it was, but I probably would have let it slide anyway. It's low level and massively unlucky. The party rallies. Rumi's wild sorcery actually goes off in a beneficial manner, and the tides turn. They win. Bride, healing word on Shaigal to get her up. My ex, I'll secure the cabin. Make sure no more surprises are hiding in there for us. Groom, backing up the ranger in the cabin. Rumi, I'm gonna need to take a few moments to lose it over all the dead people and still being alive. Oscar, I ripped the leader's pants, flip him over, and fuck his body in the ass. Party. Me. You what? Oscar, I said I ripped the leader's pants. Me. Dude, I heard you, but no, just no. Oscar proceeds to pout. The party members in the cabin uncover the stash and some other loot. Suddenly, Oscar just declares himself to be in the cabin and he steals the money right out of my ex's hands. I'm about to say something when she promptly reminds him that he has 1 HP left and knocks him right the fuck out. End of session. So he tried to have sex with a corpse. Hardcore sexual content was not allowed per session 0. He tried to steal from the party after metagame telephoning to the loot as soon as he heard it was there. And still these were not the reason why he was removed. Short bear note aside, this definitely should have been where he was removed. After the session, everyone thanked me for a good evening and headed out. I had noticed Shaigal being off all night, so I messaged her after the game. This is when she drops the bomb. Shaigal, Oscar and I have played before. We met at a random game store event. He kept being really sexually aggressive with me, and even though I told him no, he follows me to other games and then keeps trying to get in contact with me. Me? Oh, well, he's out of here then. That guy. And that is why he was removed. Turned out, I found out later on he had a habit of doing this to women at tables he was at. Quite the reputation in the community at large. Now, I'm not one for confrontation myself, and I'm definitely not going to make a player feel more unsafe by saying she requested he be removed, so I decided to let him down easy. Me? After last night's session, I really don't think things have worked out the way I would like. I don't think your style is going to be a good fit for our group. I hope you have good luck in finding another game, and if you need, I can keep you posted if other Tal'Dorei settings become available from other DMs. Oscar. Oh, you just hate fat people? Not a fit. Real subtle. Yeah, your campaign was trash. I had to make it interesting just to bother to be invested. I don't need help from someone who doesn't accept people. Fuck you. He then promptly blocks me on everything. I informed the group he was removed without elaborating on why. No one seemed to mind. Sadly, the game did fall apart about a month and a half later. Work schedules and medical issues for players made it hard to keep meeting. Chagall went on to start running her own games with safe space for women players strictly enforced. Oh, by the way, I am also overweight. TLDR, enormous man joins my D&D game, is very gross, harasses my cat, commits necrophilia and party theft, is a huge creep to women in and out of game, blames his removal on being fat. Why are people like this? I don't know if I'll ever get it. What leads people down this path that they think this behavior is okay? I'm not even talking from an in-game standpoint, just as people. So to get the first thing out of the way, I don't want to hear anyone talking about this being fatphobic. Both the OP and I are big dudes. I feel like between this and his replies, the OP only mentioned it because Oscar brought attention to it. Unfortunately, as long as Oscar pushes the blame of others not liking him on his size, he'll never improve as a person. It doesn't matter what your flaw, if you're not willing to look in a mirror and make change, you'll stagnate. Moving on, I will give some credit to OP here. He tried giving Oscar the benefit of the doubt and didn't kick him after the first thing he did wrong. I believe he was giving him a shot to improve, but ended up kicking him as soon as a player told him that they felt uncomfortable. But I will say that tolerance/conflict aversion caused him to make a fairly large mistake. I believe Oscar should have been kicked earlier. Now, after the first set of obviously off comments that seemed to clearly make things uncomfortable, I would have made an excuse, maybe a break or whatever, to talk to him and let him know he needed to straighten it out. After that, the second he mentioned, let's say desecrating the corpse, he should have been gone. No follow-up, no redemption chance, just gone. This is essentially session 1 for the whole group, as he'd missed the first session. If all of the ground rules had been set in session 0, and he, on top of bringing the table down already, had blatantly ignored the rules that bad, he doesn't deserve more time. I know this may sound harsh, but honestly, if you're playing with a pickup group and early on you're getting this derailed, don't be afraid to cut ties. This is a game that is meant to be fun, and if a stranger is ruining it for everyone, you don't owe them anything. I've seen too many of these horror stories contain essentially, yeah, the first session was bad, but I hope they would improve. Now, some behavior, sure. Someone isn't overly talkative or they even seem a bit irritable. We've all had bad days. The first session, they break a major rule and made everyone uncomfortable. Don't deal with it. We live in a time where we have options of people to play with. Don't waste your time on them. As they always say, no D&D is better than bad D&D. The last thing I want to say here is going out to people like Shaigal, who don't feel comfortable with someone or something at a table. Whether it's a situation like this where it's a person that's obviously terrible to you, or even if it's just with a theme or character that sets something off within you, don't be afraid to talk to somebody. I can say this as a person who put myself in a bad mental state from trying to push through a situation. It's not easy, but it's so important. Hopefully it's a situation that can be remedied. Otherwise, don't be afraid to bounce. Also, don't feel the need to be nice to people like this. I get being conflict adverse, but when they go that far, borderline stalking, and you know it's a big problem, call them out. Don't let them get away with being that shit to people. it only helps them at the end of the day. With all that said, moving in another direction is this week's entry to the Bear Bard's Cave of Art and Wonders. Today we have another entry from the Bear Bard in Space Art Contest, and one that hit me a bit harder than most. This one from Malediction Wolf. When looking at this, realize he did this as physical, and if you're listening now, I'm actually planning on getting a P.O. box so I can get that sent my way. It reads, "The people of some places replaced the man on the moon with the figure of a bear, who is considered to be the personification of the moon, inhabiting both the space above the sky and the astral sea. The bear is believed to be the brother of bards beset by the boorish and the belligerent. In some cases, he is represented as a Papa Bear character rather than a brother in arms. How he breathes in the airless void of space above the sky is unknown." I can't tell you how cool this was for me. It totally feels like it could be part of a children's story or part of some game lore. And I mean both of those in the best way possible. I can't wait to get this in, framed and up on the wall. Also, this was actually my son's favorite. Thank you so much for this entry, Malediction Wolf. It means a ton to me. And now for a moment in bear history that you've all been waiting for with Professor Bearbard. Hello. As many of you know, there is a new movie out titled Cocaine Bear. Now, many of you have probably also seen the tagline, "Based on a true story." Well, technically correct, the real-life Cocaine Bear is a bit more disappointing. On December 22nd, 1985, a bear had been found dead of an overdose in northern Georgia. The black bear was found dead with cocaine around him as well as in his system. What actually happened after the consumption of the drug is unknown, but I'd like to imagine it's a Tony Montana situation. The drugs were allegedly dropped by convicted smuggler Andrew Thornton, who was found dead the morning of September 11, 1985 in the backyard of a house in Knoxville, Tennessee, wearing a parachute and Gucci loafers, which sounds like the most drug dealer thing ever, just missing the katanas. Today, you can find the bear on display at the Kentucky Fun Mall in Lexington, Kentucky, which, to be honest, feels a bit weird. Well, thanks, Professor, for that somewhat lame backstory of the Cocaine Bear. Now, with all that out of the way, if you liked what you heard today, make sure to like the video and give the channel a sub. If you want to help support the channel further, remember you can look to my Ko-Fi where you can sign up for a membership, a one-time tip, pick up a sticker, or even commission me for a few lines. If you want to check out the Bear Bard in other forms, you can check out my Discord, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok. You can also check out the Bear Bard Tales podcast, available pretty much anywhere. Before we go, I want to give a huge shout out to my Ko-Fi subscribers. At the Bear Council tier, we have Mr. Hypocritical. At the Big Bear tier, we have the newest member, Jordan, as well as Den of the Drake, Mr. Mint, Armandeus, Skydiving Ellen, and Dave Haggerty. At the Mossy tier, we have Novatonics and the Reuven Gritters. Thank you all so much. Your support means the world to me. For now, though, this has been the Bear Bard. Remember to stay kind, stay beautiful, and keep on living that bard life.